Hi, Tharaphi Zaw. Who are the group of people you want to work with the most to solve the plastic pollution?
Well, you see, it's actually very hard to work with any organization to eliminate plastic waste if the same amount of plastic waste is being produced by the citizens. So I'd like to work with organizations that aim to educate people on reducing plastic usage and solve the problem at its root.
Thank you very much. Activism from the bottoms up. Thank you. That's a great idea.
Good morning, honorable judges, fellow competitors, esteemed audience members. I am Tharaphi Zaw from Brainworks International School, and my topic is gender overexposed. My presentation will be divided into 4 parts as shown on the slides. First off, what are microplastics and where do they come from? Microplastics are plastic debris smaller than just 5 millimeters. They are created when larger plastic degrade into smaller debris or when they are manufactured in factories as small microbeads. There is a common misconception that microplastics cause health problems. However, that is not the case. Microplastics just further expose humans to harmful chemicals found in plastic, not the plastic itself. And now I'll be talking about the biological factors that overexposes women to these harmful chemicals. Women generally have a higher percentage of body fat than men, and so women bodies can collect more oil-soluble chemicals such as phthalate plasticizers. Phthalate plasticizers are endocrine disruptors that can cause the body to malfunction, leading to breast cancer and testicular cancer according to the World Health Organization. Other health problems such as obesity, diabetes, deformity in newborns can arise too. Now, why do we have to consider this a national issue? In 2018, cervix uteri cancer and breast cancer were two out of the 5 most common cancers, and they only occur in women. And there has been clear evidence that there is a link between cancer and plastic use due to the chemicals being endocrine disruptors. And Myanmar is a country that uses plastics rather generously. The environment is not generally at the forefront of the citizens' problems. Now, why does this affect women more? Which leads me to my next slide, traditional gender roles. First, women menstruate every month. Women do not have a choice but to use sanitary products which are extensively made of plastics. Tampons are up to 60% plastic. How about pads? It's more commonly used in Myanmar. They contain up to 90% plastic. Both contain phthalates, BPA and BPS, which can disrupt hormones. Think about it. A woman uses about 15,000 sanitary products in a lifetime. In 2018, 5.8 million tampons were purchased in the US alone. Not only is it bad for the women, it is also unsustainable for the environment because these plastic products end up in landfills. Now, how about in everyday life? Face washes contain microbeads for exfoliation. Cosmetic products contain phthalates for longevity, microbeads for thickness. These chemicals can definitely pass through the placenta and to the fetus and cause birth defects. And furthermore, traditional gender roles do still apply all over the country, where it is a woman's job to take care of the household. Cleaning products such as bleach and detergent, you know those little chunks in the detergent powder? Yeah, they contain microbeads and other harmful substances. How about in regions where people do not have the luxury of living in a big house or using fancy detergent powder? According to the World Trade Organization and the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 30% of those working in plastic production are women in several countries. What about even less fortunate women and children? They have to burn PVC-coated cables to obtain copper and suffer from reproductive malfunctions from the toxic dioxins produced. We don't even have to think far away. We can see it in our backyards. It's women who mostly burn household trash in our backyards. So how do we solve this issue? How about we solve the problem at its root? Members of the European Parliament banned intentionally added microplastics in several products by 2020. They also proposed stricter regulations for others. Generally, consumers don't pay attention to the chemical composition of products. If the consumers are more aware of what goes into their products, we can pressure the government into placing stricter regulations like the EU did to eliminate people unknowingly purchasing these products. There wouldn't be a point if factories keep producing them, and we wouldn't have a choice but to keep purchasing them because we have no better alternative. An alternative to disposable plastic sanitary products is the menstrual cup. It is made of medical grade silicone without chemicals, plastics, BPA, and more. $40 is quite expensive. However, it is much more on a woman spends so much more on disposable sanitary products in her lifetime, upwards of $2,000 in fact, than that one cup that lasts up to 10 years. And Diva Cup is a popular menstrual cup brand. And another alternative is a reusable cotton pad. Especially in a country like Myanmar, where pads are most used frequently, they're soft, breathable, and furthermore, they don't cause toxic shock syndrome like pads and tampons do. I'm sure a lot of people may have heard or see the movie about the menstrual man. Akara Innovations and Nandi is the first certified and fully biodegradable sanitary napkin that is affordable, accessible in India, where periods are considered taboo. Not only is the sanitary products only 40 Indian rupees or 0.5 US dollars, the production unit also employs women from villages and the profit goes back to the women as well. This is a great solution to period poverty because not only are their sanitary napkins safe and affordable, it also solves the waste management problem that comes with disposable plastic pads. Now, this is the sort of project we should strive for as a community. We do also have similar projects in Myanmar on a smaller scale. On the left are women who started a small project called the Triple C, sewing reusable pads on a village on the outskirts of Yangon. Until recently, if asked by other villagers why they were cutting clothes with scissors, the women were shy about answering, but now they'll say without embarrassment that they're recycling pieces of cloth to make reusable sanitary pads. One woman, Wen Sandachu, also stated, for us as women, we don't want to sit at home and use the money that our family's breadwinner earns. On the right, a project by the Burma Children Medical Fund that donates reusable pads from Day for Girls teaches girls how to use a reusable pad. Furthermore, they even had a project where they taught girls skills to sew their own reusable pads. Now, I strongly believe that supporting such local entrepreneurs and projects would be substantial in solving this issue. Starting our own project would even be better. So hashtag Beat the Microbead is a social movement testing different products and raising awareness of those containing microbeads. They also encourage people to avoid purchasing such products and they suggest more eco-friendly alternatives. On the slide, I have shown a few popular products that used to or still contain microbeads in them, which we should avoid purchasing, of course. Okay, now I'd like to point out a major flaw in my presentation. Dear judges and audience members, do you notice how there are a plethora of issues but very few solutions? Notice how not all solutions are easily accessible nor affordable? This is because topics such as menstruation are not talked about enough. Because menstruation is so stigmatized in some countries, women whisper shamefully to other women if they have to ask for a sanitary napkin. This should not be the case. There are girls in India that are not allowed to get an education because of their periods. Who's going to tell these girls that they should use such alternatives when they are barely getting the bare necessities? How are we going to tell girls working in factories that they should stop buying affordable cosmetics from a store at the corner of the road? They want to feel pretty too. They want to have a fraction of the luxury people in the audience members have. There are very few solutions because you know why? People don't talk about this enough. People don't consider these issues. We cannot suggest solutions if people have not invented efficient, affordable, and accessible alternatives. So please, normalize menstruation. Little girls should not have to feel ashamed to talk to their parents about wanting sustainable and safe sanitary products. So as parents and as a society, please take baby steps to destigmatize menstruation. Start by talking about this issue with your mom or an aunt. And to all the boys and girls out there, periods are not supposed to be something to be disgusted about. They're normal, they're natural. So start taking initiative to solve the problem of this injustice. Plastics are not only bad for women and living creatures in general, it is unsustainable for the environment since they accumulate in landfills upwards of 800 years. So to wrap up my presentation, according to the quote, "Where there is demand, there will be supply," We must create demand for safe and sustainable products in order to create a supply. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tharaphi Zaw. It was very informative and I learned a lot. I learned a lot, trust me. So now this is about gender being overexposed, one gender being more overexposed to plastic. So let us now start the question and answer session with a female judge here, Miss Alessandra Giuliani.
Thank you for this awesome presentation. I mean, it was really, really interesting. And yeah, I have a question. Maybe you have already answered, but I mean, you can go a little bit deeper in the use of reusable sanitary pads. What do you think there are real barriers to that? Do you think that if they will be sold in a marketplace, in a city mart, for example, next to the non-reusable ones, the consumers will buy them? And if not, why?
I think the real barrier is the hassle, because if we use reusable pads, then it's going to be, so for example, places that doesn't have that much access to clean water, it's going to be very hard for them to, you know, wash them and reuse them. So I think the real barrier will be in places where it is harder to have such luxuries in life. But for people in the city, where in the city people purchase more actually, you know, disposable pads, and people in the city buy more than people in rural areas. In rural areas, some people still use reusable pads. So I think the real issue would be people that have the luxury to purchase some such products to give up their luxury and go back to using reusable pads. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now, let me invite Ms. Daya Anji for the question to Tharaphi Zaw.
Yeah, I would like to ask about because you said to beat the microbeads using in the cosmetic products, because people are believing that if they use microbeads product, they will be more clean and more beautiful and something like that. So how do you think if we ban the microbeads in the cosmetic product, what will be the reaction that we might face from the consumer side? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I, as a girl, also use products that contains microbeads in the past, but because the kids this generation has access to social media, and from research, I found out that microbeads doesn't really do much except, you know, scratch the face and makes you age faster or something like that. But the real chemicals that help, you know, exfoliate your face or that's better for the skin are, for example, salicylic acid or niacinamide, not really the microbeads that actually scratches your face, you know. But I think people need to have access to resources that explains these, you know, that microbeads doesn't really work, but you should be using more effective ingredients. And I think people should be informed about the ingredients. I think education is what matters in order to not receive such outlash from the consumer side.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a great question and also a great answer. Now let me invite Mr. Halvorsen to see if he has a question for Ms. Tharaphi.
Yes, first of all, congratulations on the presentation. It's extremely thoughtful. You know, in my time in Myanmar, I've always seen Burmese women as the strength of Myanmar, and I think you've represented that very well. You mentioned I think in the answer to one of your one of the earlier questions that women have used these more sustainable solutions in the past. So do you feel that before Myanmar sort of reopened, I guess in this phase in 2010, 2011, were there, like Tanaka, right? That is, you know, widely used and is very sustainable and doesn't have many of these issues. Do you feel that, do you think those solutions are still in the memory? Do you think that, I think you mentioned going back, do you think that these more sustainable solutions in sanitary pads or whatever it is, all of these things, is this something that was once more environmentally friendly? You know, do you think back when Myanmar in many ways had less, do you think the solutions that women used were more sustainable at that time?
Actually, yes. The other day, I was having this conversation with my mother about this presentation and all, and she said, even back in my days, my mom was born about 1980. Yeah, even back in her days, they only had reusable sanitary pads. They didn't really have disposable pads even. So I think industrialization have a lot to do with, cheap disposable plastic pads being available. So yes, I do think in the past, the waste management problem and a lot of like biodegradable issues, I think they were less of an issue back then, really.
So maybe if you allow me, do you think if we define progress differently, people might look at it? Because to your point, people want these things mostly because of marketing, right? You're told that you should have X because this makes you modern and whatever it might be. If we could define progress differently, do you think people would respond to that in your community? Do you think girls and other women in your community would respond to that?
It's honestly very difficult because, I myself wouldn't want to give up this luxury of being able to just, throw it away. So I think the transition is going to be extremely, extremely difficult, especially when it comes to topics like mine, because, it's not just like reusable plastic forks and spoons that we just have easy alternatives to. No, this is an actual hassle. So there are gonna be a lot of issues, but I think we have to present it in a way that, we have to market them in the way like the companies in the past did to introduce the more progressive products. We have to market it in a way that is appealing to the consumers.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your honesty.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to Ms. Tharaphi as well. I really enjoyed the presentation, also learned a lot.
The winner for the most popular award is Tharaphi Zaw. 133 votes. Congratulations, Tharaphi. Would you like to say something?
Thank you so much for those who voted for me. And I really hope that I can use my passion to reach out to more people.
So now it's time for the second prize winner. The second prize goes to Tharaphi Zaw. Where's Tharaphi? Yes. Would you like to say something?
I just want to thank the organizers for giving us this opportunity. And I'm sure that all the participants and viewers have learned a lot from the competition.
Oh, we definitely did. And your topic is so important when it comes to menstruation and topics like these in especially Southeast Asian countries or Asian countries like India you mentioned. It's such an important topic to talk about, not only because we use plastic products as women, but also the stigma around this topic that nobody really talks about so much. So very good presentation. Your presentation style was also really good. So you really deserve this prize.
Thank you.